Yes, people. We are back. We are back. I told you last night we would be back tonight at 10:30 to talk all about Chelsea and the Carabao Cup. Our Carabao Cup starts tomorrow night. Our trophy. It's time we won that back. We got so close to winning 5 in a row and we failed. We failed. Liverpool, they went and took our energy drink trophy off us. We didn't win 5 in a row. You know what? If we had won that one, I think the next one or two this year and next year, we would have been the only team in Carabao history to win the Carabao Cup, because the sponsorship deal ends at that point. So 3 more and we could have won it, or we could have been the only team to ever win the Carabao Cup. But our journey starts tomorrow. But that is not the only talking point of tonight's stream, people. We have other stuff to talk about, probably more important, because as much as I do respect and love the Carabao Cup, our managerial situation means far more to me than the Carabao Cup. I would much rather have comfort in the knowledge that Pep Guardiola is staying than, push for the Carabao Cup or win the Carabao Cup. Listen, we're going to get straight into it all. Lots to talk about. Get your thoughts in. As always, people, thank you so much for coming in. If you haven't done so already, make sure you smash the like button. It always helps the stream get bigger, helps get more people in here, helps the channel grow, and it's all down to you. You guys can make that happen. Big love as always. Let's see who we've got in the building. Get your thoughts in on the Pep contract extension situation. I know we cut last night's stream a little bit short because I had to go in the Big Six. We can have a bit more of a free conversation. I'll interact with your chats a little bit more tonight. We'll see what you guys are saying. So get your thoughts in. Pep extension or nah? Is it happening or nah? Let's see. We've got Kerwin, as always first to chat. I'm pretty sure Kerwin is. Barry, D1, Beyond Belief, Tyrone, Clinical, Felipe, Beyond Belief, Nicktal, Tyrone, KM, all the man them in the building, ready to talk about Pep Guardiola's contract situation. And we will, of course, have a chat about the Carabao Cup game, because Chelsea are obviously in dire straits right now. We should be looking to batter them tomorrow night, please God. There's Haaland news, as you know. There's always stuff to talk about. Any press conference that Pep Guardiola sits is generally dominated by Erling Haaland, but for some reason, apparently this morning's press conference was heavily dominated by FSG. He was getting a lot of questions about Liverpool's ownership situation, and he's probably sitting there saying, I didn't read his answers to them because I don't really care, but he's probably, I imagine, sitting there going, why the fuck are you asking me? It has absolutely nothing to do with me. I don't care. But obviously Haaland is usually the other big talking point. Haaland we're going to talk about tonight, because apparently there is a bit of an injury worry. We don't know. He was called up to the Norway squad, but in terms of this week's games, we've got Chelsea tomorrow night, and then isn't it Brentford this weekend? Is he going to feature in them? We're going to get into it all. Give us your thoughts. Do you think he'll feature? Lads, we may as well start. We haven't done this in a while. We haven't pulled up tweets in a while. It used to be our style of content, didn't it? Wasn't it? Well, back in the days before we streamed, we used to get the tweets up. I'd host the show. We'd talk about the tweets. We'd give our thoughts. Now we're doing it live. I'm sure plenty of you in the chat have seen these tweets. If you follow City Extra, big up City Extra as always for the constant updates. They're always on the ball for us to get out the stuff. Get in your thoughts if you've seen it already. Listen, I'll start it off with these tweets, people, Joe and Dara, and we'll talk about the situation. Obviously, just to kind of pre-context it a little bit, preface it a little bit. Pep is in his last season on his current contract. I believe this is his second Manchester City contract. It's his 7th season, and it's his last season on the current contract. Now, we have been talking for a long time about whether Pep will extend or not. Do we think he will extend? I think the three of us have all been in unity in believing he will extend. I think just very quickly the things like, all the new signings we've made, Haaland signing a 5-year contract. It doesn't make sense that Pep would leave after bringing in all these players, and particularly players of that stature. So, just to kind of give you a little bit of preface there, that's the conclusion we came to date. We're giving you a very, very quick timeline of how we covered Pep Guardiola's contract situation. Now, the word is that the World Cup period is going to be used as crunch time. World Cup 6 weeks, I believe it is, without football or without club football. That's going to be used as crunch time for deciding whether Pep Guardiola stays at Manchester City. The word is also that he'll fly to Abu Dhabi and chill out with the Sheikh for a couple of days, and all the board members and Khaldoon and all those lads. They'll have a chat, and you best believe that the main talking point in Abu Dhabi with the Sheikh will be, is Pep going to stay? How many zeros do you want in your check? Graham Bailey has been reporting on this situation. He says Man City are hopeful that Pep Guardiola will sign a new contract before the end of the year. Now, interestingly, his contract obviously ends in June, the end of the season. But when he says the end of the year, that basically means during the World Cup period, doesn't it? Because the World Cup is going to take us right out to the end of the year. So it's in the next... You could expect Pep Guardiola contract extension announcement, or whether he's going to leave. They might say he's going to leave. Please God, he doesn't. In the next 7-8 weeks, I think we're coming into squeaky bump time, if you like, with Pep Guardiola's contract situation. And obviously, I'd say Joe and Dara are in agreement with me, and the rest of any of you blues in the chat are in agreement with us, we're praying to God he doesn't leave. He's absolutely imperative to any success we have. Even though, listen, we'll get into all of it. We'll get into all of it. He also goes on to say, Man City already have a broad agreement in place with Pep Guardiola's representatives over a new deal, which would tie him down to the club until 2025. What's that, a 2-year extension or is that a 3-year extension? My maths is all over the place.
2-year.
2-year extension, okay. And also, Pep Guardiola has been named the 2022 NWFA Awards Manager of the Season. So big up Pep for that. And then Jack Gone. Sorry, we've got loads of tweets here. I'm going through them too fast.
Let me see.
Huh?
I went mad on it.
You did go mad. Big up Rebel, man. Rebel hooked me up with these tweets. Anyway, we'll start. Before I go into Jack Gaughan's business, we may as well touch on everything that Graham Bailey said. With that being, they have a broad agreement in place with Pep Guardiola's reps. A broad agreement would suggest that there's definitely interest in Pep staying, but they're still outlining the details, whether that be financial, the future of the project, whether that be all sorts of things that we probably don't know, image rights, things that we don't really know the ins and outs of, and we may never know the ins and outs of. But a broad agreement, if what Graham Bailey is saying is true, would suggest you to believe that Pep Guardiola is absolutely open to staying. And just to add on that, we do know that maybe the one thing that could possibly stall this deal or prevent this deal from happening is the fact that Pep's family all now live in Barcelona. They moved back to Barcelona, I think it was a year or two ago. He lives in Manchester on his own. Maybe his wife might say, listen, it's time you pull the plug on this. We want you to move back to Spain, or we want to go and live somewhere else for some time, a typical Pep Guardiola hiatus like he did after the Barcelona thing. These are things you have to take into account. He has a family. They don't live with him. But a broad agreement, Joe, I'll start with you, may as well, would suggest you to believe positive things.
I think everybody, even rival fans, expect him to sign the contract extension. I mean, there was that thing the other day, I can't remember if it was yesterday or the day before that. It was just after the Fulham game, I believe, saying that none of the squad believe that he's a man that looks like he's willing to say goodbye at this current moment in time. Nobody believes in that squad that he is going to leave at the end of the season. And I think that's kind of the way that us as fans kind of look at the situation at the moment. We kind of look at it and go, he doesn't look like he genuinely wants to leave. He looks so happy here. I mean, you look at the way he celebrates every time we win a game. Just look at the way that he celebrated after we scored that penalty against Fulham. I mean, he's smoking cigars on open-top bus parades. Like, the man doesn't look like he's ready to give up just yet. I think he knows that there's more in the tank. Of course, there's that big hole of the Champions League. He's never won that. He didn't win it at Bayern. Maybe he thinks that if he stayed a bit longer in Germany, maybe he could have won it, but he hasn't won it here, and I think he's still eyeing it. I think that it's still sort of on his mind. I don't think it's the be-all and end-all. I don't think he's ultimately too bothered. I don't think it's make or break, like he's going to stay until he wins it. I don't think that'll ever happen. But I think the whole possibility of the squad that he's got, the players that he's got, I mean, look, we said this in the summer transfer window. Why is he buying all these young players, these development projects, the Sergio Gomez, the Julian Alvarez? Why is he buying these young up-and-coming players just to leave at the end of the season? He's not doing that. He's future-proofing so he can stay and build again. He's a manager that this is, rebuild number 2, maybe, at City. His first year after he came in, sold all the old men, got in a bunch of fullbacks, wingers, this and that, and then we went on and won the league. And again, I said this, I think after Fulham, De Bruyne's the only player who's got left in the squad he inherited. Like, he has done his fair share of rebuilding. And I think that's the sort of business that we did in the summer, which was you sign Alvarez, you sign Gomez, you sign these players who in 2, 3, 4 years are going to be good, and he might not be here in sort of 3, 4, 5 years. But he's not signing them just to go, yeah, and the next manager, he's sorted. Like, he's not doing that. I don't think he would do that. So I believe he's staying. I hope it gets done as soon as possible. I was kind of hoping it would be done before the season started to try and avoid as many distractions as possible, because we don't want, all press conferences to be littered with, are you staying, are you going? And I mean, we saw with his press conference today that he was asked 4 or 5 times about FSG. I mean, what does that have to do with us? He was asked 4 or 5 times about whether Walker and Phillips are going to be available for England. What does that have to do with us? Like, it's just unnecessary distractions, but it doesn't seem to have really distracted us because we've got the one loss this season, if you discount the McDonald's Shield. So I'm just hoping and praying that, it doesn't take too long. I don't think it should take too long. I think as soon as he flies over, it'll be, how many zeros do you want, mate? I think that is the case of, what do you want? What are your terms? We will do this. We will get this done for you. What do you want?
I think the City board aren't stupid in that sense. Like, obviously, we have the money to throw at him in terms of giving him his actual wages, whatever he wants, and also the money to allow him to rebuild. Like you said, what is this, the third rebuild? And I wouldn't even call it the third rebuild because that's not actually how we operate. We aren't a club that rebuilds. We're a club that refreshes. I don't think, like, you're not wrong in what you said. I just would phrase it differently. We're a club that refreshes. We never go through a period, or we haven't gone through a real period like, say, Liverpool's right now, where they do need an overall rebuild. Man United need an overhaul, a rebuild. Liverpool need a rebuild and an overhaul, where you get rid of loads of dead wood. We never have dead wood. You never look at any players in our squad and go, yeah, you're dead wood, mate. You're like, you don't, like a Phil Jones or I don't know who else. They've got loads of them in that squad as well, Man United. I can't think of them. James Milner as well. He's dead wood at Liverpool. We never have players like that you say, listen, they just have absolutely no place in the team. It's not going to happen for them. We always have when we get rid of players, it's not because they're dead wood. It's because we can bring in an even better player. They're still a good player. Your Jesus's and your Sterlings, as much as we've got better feelings towards Jesus because of his behavior. Sterling's behavior wasn't great, but they still weren't bad players. They were still contributing and they were still winning trophies with us. But we decided, rather than allow this team to go stale and go flat, we'll refresh. We'll get rid of them and bring in players that we believe will add that little bit more X factor, get that 5% more out of them. And basically for those players, those areas of the pitch, it was just finishing. We got rid of two players who, yes, they were good at what they did bring in terms of energy and sometimes creativity and pressure and intensity, those kind of things. We got rid of those two to bring in two finishers in Alvarez and Haaland. Likewise with Fernandinho and Rodri and Cancelo coming in and, getting rid of Zinchenko. It's a refreshment and we can do that at our club. So I think Beyond Belief makes a good point here. He says, City still offer Pep the challenge to keep him at his best. I see him staying longer than you can believe. I don't know, is he making a joke there saying longer than you can believe? More than you can believe. I think Beyond Belief is right though, because there's probably no other club in the world, Rebel, that Pep is going to get the opportunity to build an extreme legacy at. And people are always making the point that, not City fans so much, but rival fans are saying, well, when Pep wins that Champions League, the first one is when he wins it, he'll leave because then he's done it all. He'll feel he's completed the medal haul and he's off. And they're also saying that if he continues to not win it, he's going to leave because he'll feel he's brought the team as far as he can. I don't view it that way, and that's not me being biased and having my City hat on and being being someone who's just rejecting the idea of Pep ever leaving the club. I do realise he is going to leave. I just feel that there's no better place in the world for Pep to really build a legacy. He built somewhat of a legacy at Barcelona, getting them from an area where Real Madrid were dominating and Barcelona got on top. He didn't build a legacy at Bayern Munich. He was just a good manager that won them a couple trophies in Germany. He's in the midst of building a legacy in Manchester City. There's no reason Pep can't go on to win. He's already done 5 Premier Leagues. There's no reason he can't go on to win 7, 8, 9, 10 if he continues to in the path he's going. And we spoke about the Champions League. When it comes, happy days. I suppose, what are your thoughts on that situation?
I mean, you have to look at it from a sense of he stayed this long. He doesn't seem like he's having any complaints so far. I think what his ultimate aim is, he wants to build a dynasty. He's gone through these two kind of, do we call it transition phase? I actually can't remember the word you called it. Refresh.
Just call it a refreshment.
Yeah, like a refreshment. He's gone through these two refreshments. He's come out the other side very clean, evidently. We're still second in the league, where, like, realistically, we all have the idea that we are going to win the league. We're going to be pushing for the league. I think he wants to keep going. I don't think he's going to want to just, like, turn around again. Like Joe said, sign Gomez, sign Alvarez, sign someone young like Haaland, sign someone like Grealish, who's a big project player for £100 million. For £100 million, he's not going to want to just turn away from that. If you think he's going to walk away from something like that, you're insane. But the only thing that would even, like, again, he's signing. I'm set on that he's signing. I think you're set, Joe's set, everyone's set. The whole wife thing is a bit of a head scratcher, but I wouldn't let it bother me. He's definitely in the dynasty business. I think, like, you've seen all these teams, like Ferguson built his dynasty. He dominated for what? How long was Ferguson there? Won 13 league titles. He was there for about 20 odd years.
20 odd years.
He's there for 20 odd years. Won 13 leagues. That's insane. Pep wants to do that. Pep's not going to sit back and say, "Well, I'm going to let this man be undisputed greatest of all time." If he can do it in this league again, look at the teams he's gone against with those Liverpool teams. Fucking immense, unbelievable teams who win the league 9 times out of 10 any other year when they perform that. Pep's outperformed them every year. He's not going to win a Champions League. Say that's that then. He's not. He's a winner. He's going to want to win more. He's going to want to keep winning. That's what he's like. That's the kind of manager he is. And you know, I think he'd be insane to walk away. I think he knows that. And I think Sheikh will know that he's insane to let
The
go.
McDonald's is coming back.
You just keep saying
The McDonald's is coming back. Oh
fucking God
no!
again. Bag of shit, like.
Man, stop eating
Yeah,
Big
take
Macs,
over.
man. It's affecting your Wi-Fi.
Take over, man. I'm sick of it. You just take over, man.
No, I get what you're saying, and I was gonna say that I watched the first episode or the first part 1 of 2 of Gary Neville's mid-season overlap fan debate thing that was uploaded on YouTube today, and Neville spoke about the top managers in the world. They were talking mainly about Graham Potter and can he break into that X factor manager, the elite manager bracket of Klopp, Pep, and you put Conte in there just for who he is and what he has achieved in the game. And the thing he said they all have in common, and particularly Pep Guardiola, is Pep Guardiola is absolutely obsessed with football. He's never come across anybody who's so obsessed with football, obsessed with winning, a relentless hunger for success, extremely competitive, always wants to win, doesn't lose his hunger when he does win. And we've seen that with our own eyes. We've seen when we win trebles, we achieve 100 points, we get three Premier Leagues in 4 years, whatever it was. He doesn't lose his hunger. He still goes out the next season and wants to do the same again, if not better. And that's why I believe that Pep will analyse where he is right now, look at the rest of world football, whether it be international football or the club scene, and say, where am I going to get a better chance to build a dynasty that you talked about there, a legacy, and a really prolonged period. And the thing is, if he was to pack up his bags from City now, retire and say, that's me, I've achieved plenty, I'm happy out, Pep Guardiola will go down as a great. He'll go down as a great, but he won't go down with one of those legacies that you look back on and say, that was absolutely insane what he did. And Pep Guardiola is the kind of guy who wants to do that. He wants to achieve and break records, set heights that have never been set before. And I just feel, even with my City hat on or off, there's no better place for him to do that. Theo Millie asked a question there. He said, question for Hugh, Dara and Joe, would you consider Arteta as a new manager for us if Pep decided he wants to step away? Right now, absolutely not. I have a lot of time for Mikel Arteta, and he's going through a process at Arsenal, who are a club that needed a process. I mean, we talk about regularly how clubs and fans are impatient with managers when they come in, particularly managers who don't have reputations like Conte, like Pep. So when they don't do well in the first 18 months, they say, get him out, he's not good enough, he was never good enough, he doesn't have the pedigree, he can't do it at this club. But I'm a firm believer in processes, and I know a lot of people hate that word, it triggers a lot of people, but United and Arsenal, and those two clubs are the ones I look at in particular, they need the process, and Arsenal right now are reaping the rewards of showing faith in Arteta's process. I never once said, when Arteta was getting 8th place consistently with Arsenal, when their fans were all on his back saying, get Arteta out, I never once thought that was the best thing for them. I always said, no, let him stick at it. He's learned from the best in Pep Guardiola. He can't be completely useless. He must have an idea of what he sees going forward and what he wants. And once he gets the backing from the Cronkies, Josh Kroenke, Edu, and all those people who pull the strings, show faith that he'll get you'll reap the rewards essentially from showing faith in that process. And they are right now. I mean, they're a completely unrecognizable outfit to what they were 2-3 years ago. Even went to the team that won the FA Cup that knocked us out in the semi-finals. They're completely unrecognizable. So the process he's going through, and he's starting to see a glimpse of success with right now, it's great for him. But I don't think, from what we've seen right now, if he was to leave this summer, Pep Guardiola, I don't think Arteta has still done enough, even should he get top 4 with Arsenal this year, which is obviously their main goal, to be a Manchester City manager. There's still a massive gap between what's required to manage Arsenal Football Club right now and to manage or to take over the legacy that Pep Guardiola will leave behind. The success that Pep Guardiola will leave behind, and the standards Pep Guardiola will leave behind. You need to be something special to come in and fill those boots. I don't think anyone's going to come in and fill those boots and, it'll be a seamless transition. You best believe, people, when Pep Guardiola does leave, there will be a period of shakiness and it doesn't look stable, and you're kind of going, oh, this is rocky, this isn't comfortable compared to what we've been used to for 4, 5, 6, 7 years. But I believe the board will get it right. So in terms of Arteta, I want to see Arteta have a prolonged period, a sustained period of success at Arsenal, consistent trophies. I'm not saying consistent Champions League qualification, because that's not the standard we're at. We want a manager who can match the standards and expectations that our club has had for the last 6-7 years. Arteta is not that right now. Who in the world is that right now? I can't put a finger on it. We've had this conversation in the last, I think, month or two, who we would like to see replace Pep. We were all in agreement that no one is the perfect replacement, but there is some names you would say, yeah, I'd be willing to give them a go. In terms of that Arteta question, lads, we may as well touch on it, because Arteta is doing quite well with Arsenal, and if he does get success and Pep was to leave, you'd imagine his name may be thrown in the hat. What do you think?
I think his name would be put in the hat for sure. Like, it's inevitable. He's Pep Guardiola's little disciple, but why would he walk away? Like, I'm looking at it in the same sense as Pep. He's built this. Why does he just walk away from it for something better? He doesn't, in my opinion. I think Arteta sticks with Arsenal for as long as really humanely possible, until he either wins it all or gets sacked. Like, I don't think there's much. If he keeps this squad, keeps them competing at a high level, why would he leave? And honestly, I don't know. I think he's a great manager, fantastic manager at the minute. I'd be honest, I'd probably take him after Pep, but he's not going to go. He's not. I don't think he'd be budge. I don't think Arsenal would be budge either. A name I'd really like to say, I'm pretty sure Joe's in agreement. I'm nearly sure we talked about it with you, Luis Enrique.
Listen, don't throw my name into this conversation.
I thought you liked him.
Not my cup of tea.
Really? Right, I'll
No.
take it back. So I like Luis Enrique, man. Little Pep clone, not a Basque boy. Don't say why not.
Basque boy. I like that.
I'm a Julian Nagelsmann kind of guy. Nagelsmann kind of guy.
That's the same thing, though. That's the same thing. Does he walk away? Does he walk away from Bayern?
He might get sacked.
Yeah, he might get sacked. Why do you take him? He's been sacked.
Because he's a good manager. I don't care about the.
How do you get sacked at Bayern if he's that great of a manager, though? Like,
I don't think he'll get sacked. I think we're probably the only club in the world right now that if we went to Julian Nagelsmann and said, we want you to leave Bayern, we'll pay out the contract, we'll pay out whatever we owe Bayern for taking you. I think we're the only club in the world where Nagelsmann would probably say, yeah, I think I'll take that on. Because Bayern's obviously a great club, and you're guaranteed success there if you do a half decent job, because it is a kind of a farmer's league, with all due respect to the other clubs. I think we're the only place in the world where we could get Nagelsmann. Listen, there's only 28 likes on the stream right now, and there's over 40 people in the building. Get the likes up, people. Try to get it up to, say, 35 likes. If you haven't done so already, smash the like button, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you are new. We're on the road to 5k. And hit the notification bell so you never miss it when we go live. I'll see what people are saying. There's some interesting shouts in the chat here. I'm seeing some names being thrown around. Is it too early for Vincent Kompany?
Yes.
Kaz Assad says.
Yes.
Kaz, it's far, far, far too early for Vincent Kompany. What I will say is, on the Vincent Kompany situation, I'm not opposed to it in terms of Vincent Kompany ever managing Manchester City, but he has a huge amount of growing to do as a manager and experiencing to do as a manager before he would even be considered to manage Manchester City. I think I'm always very skeptical in general of bringing back club legends to manage the team again, because whether you say it's not going to damage their legacy or not, it is going to damage their legacy if it goes tits up. It just is. Like, he can be as great a player. Yeah, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You can be as great a player as you want for the club, but if you come back in 10 years' time, manage the club, and shit hits the fan, that's the final memory in their head of you. They will still look at you and go, he was a great player at the time, a legend of the club, he's got a statue. But the final thing in their head about you is that you did a shit job as a manager. So I'm always skeptical about bringing legends back in general. We saw Lampard at Chelsea. We saw Ole at United. We're seeing it happens all the time. Arteta at Arsenal, even right now, when they were calling for his head, he is somewhat of an icon, or a club icon at Arsenal for when his time as a player. But with that said, if Vincent Kompany was to become as good a manager as he was a player and smash it with Burnley, get some Premier League experience and smash it wherever he is there, and it just seems to, it just looks like the glove would fit kind of thing, I would be open to it. But I'd be cautious of it, and I'd wait for the right time. I wouldn't jump into it just because he's available and he's showing interest. So with Vincent Kompany, I'd hold back. D1 says Zinedine Zidane. He is absolutely someone I'd be interested in.
He's taking the French job. I saw the other week on that, I think it's Transfers Live Twitter account, that no matter what happens in Qatar, Deschamps is gone and Zidane's taking the France job.
Ooh.
Well, I think that's a job that Zidane was holding on for, isn't it? Because he refused the PSG job, and it kind of made sense, or it kind of looked like he was holding out for the French job when Deschamps was to leave. So Zidane for France, fair enough. But if he was available and Pep was to just pack up his bags right now and leave, I would bring in Zidane. Why? Because I do believe his success and his expectations of success match our clubs, if that kind of makes sense. I think he's one of the very few managers in the world where you could say he knows about success at both player level and managerial level. He ticks all the boxes. Will his football be sexy? Will it be flowing Pep Guardiola football? No. Will he attract big names? Yes. I think he has the pulling power as well, Zidane. You have to think about these things. When you bring in a manager to your club, it's not what you think. Sorry, you do think about all these facets that I'll name. You think about what style of play they're going to play. Is it going to be attractive? Are the fans going to like it? Is it going to be an upgrade or a downgrade or on par with what the fans have had for the last era of the club? So who's going to come in and play the same style of football or the same exciting football, if not better than Pep Guardiola? What expectations and what standards have they achieved and set before in their previous jobs? Zidane ticks the box on that front. Then the big one is, what pulling power is the next manager going to have? Is Vincent Kompany capable of signing an Erling Haaland as a manager right now? No, if he was to come in. Absolutely not. Is Zinedine Zidane? Yes. I think an Erling Haaland or a player of Erling Haaland's caliber would be excited at the prospect of playing under a 3-in-a-row winning Champions League manager and a world... one of the best players of all time kind of thing. So these are all things you have to think of, and the club will think of, and much more things that we don't even know about. Joe, I know that you before had some thoughts on Zidane. Do you agree with what I'm saying, or do you have anything to add to it?
Yeah, if Pep was to walk right away at the end of this season, and he's some weird alternate reality didn't take the French job, I'd take him purely because if Pep leaves at the end of this season, this squad is too good to go through like a project manager. We need someone who's going to win now. This squad needs someone who's going to win.
That's the word. Sorry to cut across you. You've hit the buzzword there that I was looking for. We don't want a project manager. We don't want the project manager. We don't want a manager who's coming in and learning the trade of being a successful manager on the job. Sorry, you're absolutely spot on. Continue.
We want someone who has the pedigree, has the winning DNA to match the squad's winning DNA. Maybe if Pep does sign a 2-3 year extension, does 10 years and then leaves into a 3 years, maybe we're looking at something different where we're looking at, you look at the likes of De Bruyne will be in his sort of mid-30s and Gundogan probably would have left. And, you're looking at these sorts of players and going, they're getting on a bit. Maybe we can go for someone else who's a bit more of a project manager, this up and coming. Maybe if a Vincent Kompany or a Vieira, they carry on doing what they're doing in 3 years down the line, when we do need a bit of not only a squad refresh, but just a manager with fresh ideas, maybe he can go for it then. But if he does turn around and doesn't sign that contract, then we need someone who's going to win now, because this squad is far too good to go and take a year or two to adapt to someone completely different. Like, you can't do that. This squad is in win now mode and will be for the next sort of 3 years at least, really. So I think Zidane will be perfect, but I just don't believe that he would be available come Pep leaving at the end of the season if that were to happen. I think that's why people are saying someone like Enrique. Of course, he did a good job at Barcelona, won trophies there, so he has that winning DNA. My one issue with Enrique is he does have his favourites. He loves the Barcelona boys, which we all know from previous experiences. Trusting players formerly from Barcelona does not go down well. They all seem to want to end up going back to that shithole. So I don't know how that one would fare. But I think that's another one. Nagelsmann have got. See you laughing at there. That's why Nagelsmann would be a good option, because even though we all take the piss out of the Bundesliga, don't we? Farmers League, the Premier League at the moment. I know Arsenal are top. It's a bit of a farmers league. I mean, on paper, it's a farmers league anyway. So, having that winning experience with Bayern would help him. I think that's why, again, similar before United took Ten Hag, I think everyone was kind of keen on him because, again, even though it's the Eredivisie, Ajax kind of dominate, he still won trophies. He still had that winning DNA of knowing how to get over the line. So, these hypothetical situations of, if he were to leave, would you take Arteta? His name would be in the hat. His name would be in the hat. But again, I do agree with you in the sense that someone who, I know he's won the FA Cup and he won the Community Shield, but he hasn't sustained it. The next season he finished 8th. He finished outside of European football. He's top of the league now, but can he sustain this pressure? Can he sustain this pressure going into next season? And the season after that? And the season after that? We don't have this sort of younger manager that has that really. That's why, again, Company, this is his first season in management. I think he's doing an incredible job at Burnley. I think they're top of the Championship. They're playing actually good football for Burnley standards. But again, it's his first year. It's far, far too early. And I would absolutely hate, and I've said this before, I would hate to have to go. He's got to go. Like, if he was City manager, I'd hate to be like, yeah, he's not the right man. He has to go. Like, I don't think I could bring myself to it, but sometimes you saw with United, they all kind of turned on Ollie, didn't they? You know, they kind of put what he did as a player behind them and went, he's not the man. He's not good enough for this. So I think it's an interesting one. Maybe, I mean, we all expect Pep to sign that contract extension. Maybe by the time that extension is done and he doesn't sign a new one after that, there's someone completely new who we've never heard of before, who the club decide to go for. We are renowned for doing that in our transfer business, so I don't see why that won't be a possibility with our new manager come the time. So it's interesting. I like the few names I've seen. I think I've seen Eddie Howe thrown about. Like, he's doing an incredible job in Newcastle, but again, he's another one. He hasn't won anything either. He's a bit of a... Again, he plays good football. He's doing incredibly well with what he's got at Newcastle, and he's proven he can work, you know, with a sizable budget as well, with the signings that he's made at Newcastle, but he's never won anything. So there's a lot of candidates, but I don't think there's like a clear standout, at least not yet.
Sid, I see your message. He says, why talk about Pep's successor when he's about to sign a new contract? It was just a hypothetical conversation, really. We know Pep's most likely going to sign a new contract, and that's kind of the main talking point we're having right now. But we were asked the question of, you know, who might you like if he was to leave? We kind of went off on a bit of a rant there, or a bit of a rumble, because that's what we do, isn't it? But in terms of successors, there's no one that stands out in mind. There's a couple that you might like, but the bottom line is Pep is so crucial to every bit of success we have. I've said this so many times. You can have all the great players in the world you want. You can throw De Bruyne and Haaland and Bernardo and Gundo all into the same team, and that's great. But without Pep, it just doesn't function the way it does. And you probably don't get Haaland, and you probably don't keep De Bruyne, and you probably don't keep Bernardo without Pep Guardiola. I spoke about when you're analysing what new manager you want, if we were to ever get a new manager, the pulling power and the stature and the presence of that manager matters massively. What kind of names can this manager bring in? Pep Guardiola can bring in absolutely anybody he wants. I guarantee you, last summer when the whole Neymar fiasco was going on, if Pep Guardiola really decided he wanted Neymar would be at Manchester City right now. If Pep Guardiola decided he wanted Kylian Mbappe would be at Manchester City right now. The board would make it happen. Pep would speak to Mbappe or Neymar, whoever it is, or Messi, and it would be made happen, because that's the kind of manager Pep is. So I think it's crunch time. It's absolutely crunch time. These next 6-7 weeks is when we're going to know whether he's extending, how long the extension is. I think most people in the chat are in agreement that Pep is going to extend, and we've got that to look forward to. It just doesn't make sense for him to leave, and I don't mean in the sense that for him personally. All the signs we've seen this far over the last 18 months. How many contract extensions have we seen in the last 18 months? Didn't De Bruyne sign one? Foden sign one? Cancelo sign one? Rodri sign one? All these players are not signing extensions for Pep Guardiola to fuck off 2 years into their extension. Cancelo, in my opinion, I've spoken about this, I believe he is the best fullback in the world for the last 18 months. I really believe that. He's not giving us his contract. He's not signing us his name till 2027. Just for Pep Guardiola to decide 12 months later he's had enough and a whole new project begins, a whole new era begins. Haaland doesn't sign the 5-year deal to find Pep Guardiola packing his bags 12 months into his deal. There's too many things adding up here. You put 2 and 2 together is basically what I'm saying, people. Put 2 and 2 together and you'll get a 2-year extension, hopefully. And even though it's a 2-year extension, most likely we're looking at, or at least Graham Bailey is alluding to it being a 2-year extension, I still believe that even come the 2 years' time, he will sign further. I mean, knowing Pep as well as we do and everything we hear about Pep as a personality, there's nothing suggesting Pep is slowing down. There's nothing suggesting Pep is losing his hunger or his interest or his love. We know he loves Manchester as an actual city, geographically. He loves cycling around. He loves the people. He plays golf. He's got a life here. He has everything he wants in terms of infrastructure, players, money, love from the fans. There's no more perfect place for Pep Guardiola than Manchester City. Why would he throw that all away to go on a hiatus or try a new thing where he's not going to get all the comforts that the Manchester City Football Club will give him? Listen, I'll give you another chance to talk now in 1 second, Rebel. There's a lot of chats here people are sending in that I want to address. There's still about 50 people in the building right now. We're only on 36 likes. Get the likes up. Get it over 40 at least. Get the likes up to over 40. It gets more people in here. It gets the conversation flowing even more. Smash the like button. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Mbappe just wants to play in the easy French league. I get that. And I think Mbappe, I think we have more of a pulling power than Real Madrid. I think we have more to offer anybody than Real Madrid. Obviously, we didn't throw a name in the hat properly for Kylian Mbappe. I don't think we threw a name in the hat at all. But my point was that if we wanted Kylian Mbappe that badly, we can get him. I promise you we can get him. I think there's very few, if any, players in the world would turn down Manchester City right now, particularly players from the likes of France. I think you probably find it tougher to sign players from South America who have that big pedigree, or France, or sorry, not France, Spain or Portugal or Italy, where the climates are hot and, you know, they're nice places to live. The only thing, you know, unattractive to these players is simply just the climate of England. Everything else we can offer more than any other club in the world. We simply can. There's no better place to be. Love cycling around when he's not being chased. Exactly. I mean, there's no one gets more love. You saw after the Fulham game on Saturday afternoon, Pep did a lap of honour. He was clapping the fans. We don't see that regularly. Does that look like a man who has had enough, or he's kind of winding down, or he's in his last season, he's not too pushed anymore? Pep Guardiola loves this club. He loves these fans. He loves his team, and I think he's never felt more happy. And you spoke about, Joe, how managers and players seem to always revert to going back to that shithole Barcelona. Pep Guardiola is number one candidate. He was number one candidate. If anybody was ever going to do it and leave us to go back there properly, it was Pep Guardiola. There's no one loves Barcelona more than Pep Guardiola, and Catalan, and the whole culture of Catalan and the football there. But he's...
Uh-oh.
Oh, it's him. That was me.
Uh-oh. His phone might have died. Or he might have got a phone call or something. Scam call.
He's
been scammed.
I'll take over from...
No. I think he might have got a phone call because he's using 3G, remember?
I'm back.
Oh, he's alive.
What happened there? I was mid-rant. What a freeze, said Pac-Man.
You
Someone
froze.
screenshot that. Don't be screenshotting anything, people. Hugh with the prison Wi-Fi. I'm on 3G, man. My Wi-Fi out.
Fuck you on your McDonald's Wi-Fi. Fuck you on your McDonald's Wi-Fi.
Listen, you're Mr. McDonald's Wi-Fi. Shut up, you and your McDonald's Wi-Fi. Stuck in a sneeze. I was not sneezing. Don't be screenshotting that, people.
I was like this.
The screenshot that one.
My Wi-Fi can't handle the Pep Guardiola intensity. Listen, go on. What were you going to say?
Someone's having some e-sex. No, Will. I think you're right. I don't think he's planning on leaving anytime soon. But I've been laughing at this. I've had a little smile on my face. I'm sure everyone's saying for the last about 5 minutes. Because now I rate D1 highly. I think some of his football opinions are great even. But he's just said that Jesse Marsch has to be in the conversation. Absolutely.
I can assure you, he's not in the conversation, Jesse Marsch. With all due respect, D1, Jesse Marsch is not in any conversation to ever be the Manchester City manager. Okay? Unless he does crazy things, it's not happening. You won't see it. Proceed.
Absolutely not. I'm sorry. Like he has a bit of passion about him. But I mean, if you're pulling up any man who has passion, then I could manage, Joe could manage, you could manage, fucking get fucking TOJ to manage. You know what I mean? Like anyone can do it if you're just going off passion. And now, Murray, I know you've been pushing, and I've been somewhat pushing. You know exactly where I'm going with this. Is Big Ange Postecoglou, right? A big step up. A big step up. Again, we mentioned how another big step up. Jesse Marsch, in essence, a big step up, but he's shit. Like, am I allowed first name Ange? Because I don't want to keep calling him Postecoglou. It's a pain in the...
Nobody calls him Postecoglou. It's Ange.
Yeah, right, Ange. Big Ange. He is a good manager, right? Murray's mentioned to me before, he understands not just the football side, but the people side of football. Like, you know, he's very for the working man type kind of manager. He'll want everyone walking out with a smile on their face. He'll want everyone playing good football. He's a people pleaser first. And if that's how we're operating, again, he plays great football, plays good high intensity football. I know they got pumped in Madrid, and in Europe in general. But look, it's fucking Celtic. I'm sorry.
But that's the exact reason why his name's probably not in the hat, because
more than likely. I mean, he's definitely he's on the radar. He worked for.
I've watched Celtic. I know he's worked in the CFG, which gives him a bit of a bonus, and I have watched Celtic, and they try to play football, which is something that I like. But I think there's two things that kind of stop me from putting him anywhere near, and that's the fact that for all the pedigree that Celtic have, and I don't watch the Scottish League too often, so I can't really say in the competition, but like the Premier League is like the toughest in the world, like big step up, and also the fact of he's done well on an incredibly small budget, but working with a huge budget is something that not every manager can hack. I mean, you look at the amount of United managers gone by who have spent it on absolute gash. Like, not everyone can work with a high budget. I think that's what's kind of stopping me. But I wouldn't be totally opposed. But I mean, D1 says there, Jesse Marsch coached Leipzig, yeah, and he got sacked and held 6 at the Etihad. Like, no thanks. Like, at the end of the day with Jesse Marsch, he got sacked from Leipzig. He will probably, inevitably, down the line at some point, get sacked from Leeds. Not for me. Like, what was it? They went 7 games without a win before they beat Liverpool. 8 games without a win before they beat Liverpool. There you go. It's not great, is it?
Like,
Ange isn't going to come. I don't think it's going to happen, at least not straight after Celtic. Jesse Marsch. Let's park the hypothetical conversation about new managers, because I don't even want to talk about that right now. We've talked about that enough over the last sort of month or two. I think we should just be excited that Jack Gaughan, I'm going to get into his tweets now in a second as well. Big old reliable Jack Gaughan and Graham Bailey are suggesting that there's a new Pep extension coming. But I just want to say really quickly, Big Erling number 9 in the chat says he's going to the game tomorrow and he's hoping to see an Alvarez goal. I hope you enjoy the game, my friend, and I do hope you see an Alvarez goal. It should be a great game, and I hope it's a good atmosphere for you to enjoy. Curtis says, City more pulling power than Madrid. That's a crazy thought. You only have to look at the last 6 months, Curtis, to know that we do have a bigger pulling power. We went neck and neck with Real Madrid for Erling Haaland, the hottest striker prospect in world football. We went neck and neck with them for him. And who came out on top on a 5-year contract? Manchester City. We have a bigger pulling power than Real Madrid right now, and I firmly believe that. I won't take any other answer. Historically, of course, Real Madrid have the prestige and the aura and the what's the other word I was using? The heritage, the heritage. They have all of that. The football heritage. They have that we don't have. But in terms of infrastructure and systems and projects and success for players to walk straight into, there's nobody has more of it right now. I'm not saying it will last forever. I'm saying right now there's no better place to come than Manchester City, and that's why I believe that we'll get Jude Bellingham next summer. Real Madrid are in the race to get Jude Bellingham. Chelsea, United, Liverpool, they're all in the race to get Jude Bellingham. But I'm sitting here like this. I'm sitting here with my hand behind my head because I know that when push comes to shove, Jude Bellingham will go, yeah, I can't turn down Manchester City. I can't turn them down. They'll give me the money I want. They have the players already for me to go in and improve and win trophies and build a legacy myself over a long period of time, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. I just know that we have everything. If you just look at the facts, people, we have absolutely everything for a player or a manager to want to come in right now. And as long as Pep stays, any player in the world, you can't rule them out. If we wanted him, we got him. That goes for any player in the world, says Sid. Exactly, mate. Any player we want, I believe we have as much a chance of anybody of getting. I think in older times, English clubs struggled because they were English and it didn't have the same prestige as Real Madrid and Barcelona. That's why you never saw Messi come to England. You never saw Figo, Maradona, Pele, these players come to England. But now you can see those level of players come to England if Manchester City want them bad enough. And I just do believe that. I just want to say, before I get on to Jack Gaughan's tweets, stick with us because Jack Gaughan is the big dog. When Jack Gaughan says something's happening, you best believe it's more than likely happening. There's 65 people in the building. That is the peak number we've had for tonight. I'll keep saying it because I'm really enjoying the support. I'm loving seeing new faces come in. I'm seeing a lot of new faces come in tonight who I haven't seen before. And I'm grateful to see all of you come in. If you would just do us a massive favor and just hit the like button. Just hit the like button. It's free to do, and subscribe to the channel if you're new and help us on our road to 5k. We're looking forward to hitting that. Big plans for 5k. When 5k comes, we've got big plans, giveaways, big streams, things we haven't done before, big collabs. Trust me, there's a lot to look forward to, so join the channel, join the community. Now, I'm going to get into Jack Gaughan's tweets because, like I said, Jack Gaughan is the big dog, isn't he? In terms of Manchester City news, whenever Jack Gaughan says something, I generally think, this is reliable. There's maybe 2 or 3 journalists in the world that when they speak, I go, yeah, I can take this. I don't need any pinches of salt. When you talk about take a pinch of salt, I don't take any pinches of salt with Jack Gaughan. You take it at face value and you say, this is what's happening. Jack On says, not too much. We've got 2 tweets from him. Obviously, once again, big credits to the Extra for providing this information. He says now, less optimistic and less out there as Graham Bailey, but he does go on to say, Pep Guardiola is expected to decide his Man City future during the World Cup. That's pretty much exactly what Graham Bailey was saying, apart from Graham Bailey throwing in the fact that there's a broad agreement with Pep Guardiola's representatives. Jack On saying that, now we can confirm that there will be a decision on Pep's extension or potential exit during the World Cup. And I think this does go back to a point Joe made not so long ago, which was it is a massive distraction. If Pep Guardiola's contract situation is still up in the air come February, March, April, May, and he leaves it right down to the last minute, runs his contract down before he makes a decision, or a public decision at least, he's going to get bombarded with questions increasingly week on week on week. Every single press conference, he will be asked, are you extending? Do you want to leave? Are you looking at other clubs? Are you getting interest from other clubs? Is money an issue? Has relationship broken down? All these questions that you don't need during a title race. You don't need when you're chasing the major trophies. You don't need your managerial situation up in the air. That's why I believe this is the perfect time to sort out his contract situation. We know he's going to Abu Dhabi during the World Cup. He's spending some time out there. Khaldoon is going out with him. But this isn't something that we should go, oh, this is absolutely different. This is something, we've never seen before. Pep going out to Abu Dhabi. For those of you who maybe aren't aware, Pep goes to Abu Dhabi to hang out with the Sheikh for a week or so, at least once a year. He meets up with the big dogs of Manchester City, beyond Khaldoon, at least once a year. He sits down with them. They have a cup of tea and they have a chat about what's going on in Manchester City. So this time, they're not doing it at the end of the season when he usually does it. He's going during the World Cup. And you best believe number one priority is what number do you want on your check, Pep? How many zeros do you want this time? Because they're not stupid. They know that this guy is so important. He also goes on to say, there are those around the Man City first team who believe they are working for a manager who does not appear ready to leave the club, with whispers of a 2-year contract extension. Man City are planning ahead on the assumption that he stays. Now, Graham Bailey said something similar, that, broad agreement, they're expecting an extension, but Jack Gunn is now saying rumours. I don't think Jack Gunn would say that if there was nothing to it. I think Jack Gunn would only say that if he has heard it from at least a fairly credible source within the club, that there's rumours he's staying. And the fact that he said the players believe they're working for a manager who does not appear ready to leave, it goes back to what we're saying. Why would Foden sign till 2027? Why would Cancelo sign till 2027? Why would Rodri sign till 2027? Why would De Bruyne already have said he wants to retire or stay as long as he can at Manchester City? Why is Haaland signing the 5-year deal? Why is Diaz signing long deals? Why are they working on an extension for Bernardo, who realistically should have left 2 summers ago? Why is he still here? And why are they looking at an extension? Because Pep is talking about extension. Pep is giving them more than likely verbal assurance in the dressing room that he is staying. It just makes sense. It's all adding up. What are your thoughts on those Jack Gunn quotes or those Jack Gunn pieces of information, Joe?
I mean, again, it's kind of just repeating exactly what we already know, which is this World Cup period is going to be busier than just, watching our players and hoping that they don't get injured. It's going to be, you're going to be counting down the days of how long is left until this announcement. Like they say during the World Cup, he's going to go and fly off to go and meet the owners. How long is it going to take? It's just you're playing a waiting game essentially, because it almost feels inevitable. But again, busy time. But when it's coming from Jack Gunn, you best believe it is one of the more reliable, probably. I don't know about the most reliable. I don't know. It's not my sort of thing. I don't know who is and who isn't reliable. But again, you take his word for it. If multiple journalists are out there reporting that he's going to at least have discussions, then you best believe you're getting a yes or no answer.
Dara Ford says, love the channel. I'm watching on the Big Six from Limerick. Come on, City. Big up Dara Ford, man. I appreciate the love. Curtis says, City can't get better than Pep for me, so the club and him must stay on good terms for as long as possible. I think the relationship between Pep Guardiola and Manchester City right now has probably never been better. It's probably never, ever been better. Everything Pep has asked for over the course of the last 12 to 24 months, he has got. Players, money, you name it, anything he's asked for, he's got. So I can't see why there would be any friction between the board and the manager. I think the board are smart enough to know that Pep is the main cog in our machine. We're an absolute beast of a football club right now, spearheaded by Pep Guardiola. It is completely spearheaded by Pep Guardiola, and if you lose him, in my opinion, you're putting the whole deck of cards. If Pep Guardiola hypothetically was to walk this summer, you would probably immediately see Bernardo leave, Gundo leave. You'd probably see some transfer requests from other players, or at least them starting to wind down and talk about, maybe like new challenges and let us down lightly kind of thing. Pep Guardiola he's the glue. He's the glue to the whole operation. He keeps everything together. He gets new things in, and he makes all the right decisions. Gillingham knocked Brentford out of the Carabao Cup tonight. Big up Gillingham, man. Haaland doesn't sign knowing Pep leaves in 12 months. Exactly, big Erling. Haaland does not sign. That's the main thing. Why would Erling Haaland, a player wanted by every club, every top club in world football, sign to play for Pep Guardiola for 12 months? It's like, we know the way Haaland operates. We've looked in depth into his transfer history and how strategic him and his representatives were in their decision making and in his moves. They don't come to us unless they have at least almost 99% guarantee, from Pep Guardiola and the club that he's staying. Feels like Pep loves the club, and this is the longest he's ever stayed anywhere. And I think it's not going to end anytime soon. I hope Pep gets some quality family time during the World Cup, as well as visiting the Sheikh. Sheikh is family time, man. Sheikh is family time, yeah? He's going out to visit Big Daddy Sheikh Mansour, and Sheikh is going to say, how much money do you want, Pep? What players do you want, Pep? Do you want Bellingham? We'll get Bellingham. We will get Bellingham. Pep is staying. The glue. Perfect description, says Snid. He is the glue. He absolutely is the glue. Rebel, what are your thoughts on the Jack Gone pieces of information?
I don't know. There's only so much we can say before we can just flat out turn around and say he is staying, because he's staying. I'm not so worried. Then you look. Anyone who's watched us from the start will know I am the biggest worrier and the biggest defeatist you'll ever come across in my life. I don't give this a second thought. I don't give it a second thought, because you know why? There is no better place to be. I don't care if he wants to be sat at home with his missus, right? There's no better place to be than Manchester City Football Club at the current moment. And again, if he flies out to the Sheikh, if it's a win, he'll go out to the Sheikh. He'll say, what do you want? Oh, you want Bellingham? Yeah, no bother, bro. No bother, mate. No fucking bother, because that's what it's going to be. If he wants more squad depth, if he wants the keys to Manchester themselves, he will get it, because he's worth it. He's worth it. I don't think there's any way, shape or form you can look at what he's done in the past 6 years, 7 years, and say he's not worth it. He's worth everything. I'd give him my firstborn. I'll be honest with you.
Wow.
My firstborn. And that's a bold assumption, think I'm having kids. But my God, I'd give up my firstborn. I promise. And you know what? I think a lot of people would here too. Not sure about you, Joe.
Someone please clip that. I think. Someone please clip that. That's another one. I hope this is also a thought that's going around in his head as well, that if he does leave, I think we all expect that if he leaves, he'll take a year, maybe 2 years out of football, go on another sabbatical, because this is one of the longest stints he's ever had as a manager. But I think, at least I hope he realises that if he, I know he wants to manage at international level, but if he goes straight back into club football as his next job, he's going to be managing at the top. He has to come against this team that he has built, essentially. If he goes to another top club in Europe, there's a high possibility that he has to come up against this absolute juggernaut of a team that he has built. So I don't think he's willing to give that up and go, yeah, I'm going to build something completely different to go against one of the best teams ever assembled. It's one of the most expensive squads, if not the most expensive squad ever assembled. Is he realistically going to go, you know what, I'll leave, I'll go somewhere else and challenge that? I don't think he is.
Listen, we can talk about this all night, and we can explain why we believe he's staying. I think everybody in the chat who I can see commenting, you're all smart enough to know that he's extending. He just is extending. It's building up nicely, and it has built up nicely for about 12 months now for an extension of the very least 2 years, and I wouldn't even be surprised to see 3-year extension. I've said it for so long now. I believe when Pep does leave, we will have at the very least seen a decade of Pep Guardiola at Manchester City, and that's just my final thought. I believe Pep is staying. I think all of you are in agreement with me, and I don't even want to think about the possibility of him leaving. And we spoke about, Haaland doesn't sign the deal with us unless Pep is staying, and even to a lesser extent, Julian Alvarez is a hot prospect. You know that plenty of clubs around the world were looking at Julian Alvarez, and he probably could have gone to plenty of clubs if he wanted to. but he came to us because he wants to play under Pep Guardiola. Calvin Phillips said when he first signed for Manchester City. Jack Grealish said when he first signed for Manchester City, I wanted to play under Pep. Calvin Phillips said, I wouldn't leave Leeds for anybody other than Pep Guardiola and Manchester City. I just wouldn't. And it happened. The contract got signed. He's our player now. He's playing under Pep. And you best believe when these contract talks are happening with players, they're asking about Pep. They're always asking about Pep because he's the big attraction. Pep is staying, people. I'm giving you my own assurance here. Hugh Murray from Dublin, Ireland. Pep is staying in Manchester City for at least 2. I wouldn't be surprised. Don't be surprised if you see a 3-year extension announced midway through the World Cup. A nice little, or maybe towards the end of the World Cup as football's about to begin again. The domestic football's about to begin again. Club football. Just to give us that boost and, that bit of excitement. Pep staying. And it'll give the players a massive kick when the announcement comes and the players see the excitement that Pep is, or the excitement from us fans. It'll give the whole club a boost. Can you imagine the feel-good factor? It's like playing a trump card. It's like giving yourself an extra boost. Everyone's going, yes, this is massive. And all of a sudden, everyone's feeling great. And life is good at Manchester City for the second half of the season. So they're strategic to right down to the smallest detail. And when they announce this and the length of the extension, they're strategic. They play their cards right. And I just trust this club. Listen, Pep is extending, Pep is staying, and I think that was good conversation. We spoke about hypothetical replacements, we spoke about the reasons why we believe he'll stay, and we came to the conclusion, as always, that he's not going anywhere. The rest of the Premier League, be afraid, man. It's scary times, but not for us. Be afraid. This guy has absolutely monopolised this league and this country, domestic football, for the last 6 years. He's taken the piss out of English football for 6 years, and there's plenty more to come. Rival fans are always saying we're not going to get anywhere until Pep Guardiola leaves, and I believe that. I believe teams can challenge us, they can put us under pressure, but when push comes to shove, we are too elite. We have too many good players. We have too much experience at winning trophies and going down to the wire and high pressure situations to not continue building on Pep Guardiola's legacy and providing trophies and great memories. So listen, it is Dennis, as a humor guarantee is a guarantee you can trust. Exactly, Dennis. When I guarantee you something, I mean it. Pep is staying. Anyways, it's 25-12. We're going to talk about the Chelsea game tomorrow night. Obviously, anytime you play Chelsea, it's a massive occasion, but the Pep Guardiola contract extension, the Jack Gaughan tweets and the Graham Bailey tweets, we couldn't not talk about it. But anyways, you see, as always, our predicted starting 11 for tomorrow night's game up on screen beside us right now, beside that lovely Carabao Cup logo, the energy drink cup. If you have any issues with our predicted starting 11, do let us know. Is there anybody else you would like to see play? Do you think anybody else should play? Anybody else you think shouldn't play? Bearing in mind, we only have 2 more games. There's 180 minutes of football left to be played before we don't see City again for 6 or 7 weeks. And if you don't agree with the team and you're really pissed off with it, do only give out to him because he predicts the starting 11 and not me or Revel. So fire your shots at that guy. You've gone with Ortega in nets. I think that makes sense because he is our cup goalkeeper. He's played a bit in the Champions League now too. You've gone with Ake, Laporte, Diaz, Stones, Rodri, Gundogan, De Bruyne, Foden, Alvarez, Mahrez. I think everybody in the chat, all 70 people in the building, are probably waiting for us to talk about the obvious, and that is Erling Haaland. Is Erling Haaland going to play against Chelsea tomorrow, considering he came on for a cameo against Fulham, won us the game in fantastic fashion? Is he going to play against Chelsea tomorrow? No. My hunch is no. Now, listen, Revel just sent me while we were talking about the Pep situation. Who was it uploaded? Was it Haaland himself uploaded it?
Yeah.
Erling Haaland uploaded an image of himself putting on his socks in the dressing room and he's saying training vibes. So Haaland did train today. Do I think he'll play against Chelsea? No. I think the prediction Joe went for on the front 3 is accurate. I think Alvarez will start. And if we find ourselves in a position where we need a goal, you could see Haaland come on. The word is from Pep's press conference this morning that Haaland has some sort of ligament damage. And when you hear the word ligament damage, everyone goes, oh, that's not good. That sounds serious. But the word is that the ligament damage is something he can play through. And they're looking at, playing him definitely against Brentford, possibly against Chelsea, definitely not start the game on the basis that once he's finished, he has 6-7 weeks to recover fully and be fully fresh. It's just like persevere through this week, please, and we should be okay. Anyways, Joe, may as well start with you. The Haaland situation. Do you think he should feature? Is there any chance he'll start, in your opinion? What's the vibes, man? What's the vibes? You've looked more into the quotes than I have.
Until about, I don't know, maybe a few hours ago when I went through the quotes myself, I did actually have I always make a sort of a mock up, really, sort of the day before the press conferences are even out, going what I think, barring any bombshells, it would be. And Haaland was in there. The whole thing about ligament damage, and there is still a small risk, and the fact that Alvarez did get taken off after an hour against Fulham kind of makes me want to believe that Alvarez will start the game. The one thing I will say about everyone freaking out about ligament damage, I mean, he played 30 minutes and he looked absolutely fine. You could go and watch that last 30 minutes against Fulham. He looked absolutely fine. They looked like there was absolutely nothing wrong with him. He's not a broken man. If we needed him, if Pep really wanted him to play, just so he could get up to speed, for the Brentford game, because that is realistically the more important game, although I still do want to beat Chelsea, then realistically Haaland could start and he could play 90 minutes. He will play through it. He will have no problems himself with playing through that and then playing again in the next weekend. But I do believe they are trying to just be a little bit careful, because even though he's not going to the World Cup, I think he's been called up to the Norway squad because they have a couple of friendlies coming up, and he'll probably... Shush. Hey, stop waving. Stop waving.
He's coming to Dublin.
Haaland is coming to Dublin. That's why Rev was getting excited.
Yeah,
I
he's
won't be
getting
going to watch.
ahead of himself.
Friendlies.
He's getting ahead of himself. But I imagine he'll be there for Norway, because even though we'll be bubble wrapping him and being extremely careful, if he's asked to play, he'll play. He's that sort of player. If you ask him, mate, do you want to play? He'll probably say yes. So I imagine if at any point we are struggling, which, I mean, I've gone with Mahrez in the predicted 11, so there's every chance that we will be struggling to score goals, that he will feature. If we need a goal, he will come on. I have no doubts about that. He's available. If he's fit enough to be on the bench, he's fit enough to play. And, well, he played at the weekend. So I just don't think he'll start, because, again, I think they're just doing everything they can to just, keep him as injury-free as possible, which it's impossible to keep fully injury-free, but again, there's a high chance that we see him anyway, just because he missed three games, so they'll want to, build up some sort of minutes, even though there's only 2 games left and then there's a break. They will want to, make sure he's still getting a few minutes, so if we do have to call upon him, he's not going to take a while to get used to the flow of the game and playing football again. But Alvarez has been doing well. He had a slow start when he came into the team as his replacement, but he's picked up. He started scoring a few goals. I like what I see, and at the end of the day, lads, it's Chelsea. It's mad that I'm saying that about Chelsea, but I mean, just look at the way they're playing. They conceded 4 against Brighton. It's Chelsea. Alvarez is more than capable.
Exactly, and I think it's we're seeing Alvarez really grow into form right now. He's growing into the shirt. He's starting to look more comfortable. The players are starting to trust Alvarez more, and we've seen glimpses now with the Sevilla goal, the Forest goals, the Fulham goal, of what he can do. So he's building up trust with his players. Let him keep playing, man. Let him keep playing. Let him start. But I would start Haaland versus Brentford on the basis of what we said. It's the last game. You've 6-7 weeks off. I think Norway will manage Haaland in those games against Ireland and whoever else they're playing against in the friendlies during the World Cup period. We know that City now have an agreement or some sort of a deal with Norway whereby City send some of their medical team or physios along with Haaland to the Norway camp. So City go and join Norway. City's medical team join Norway's medical team to look after Erling Haaland. They won't make any rash decisions. But the Brentford game should be treated like a cup final. Put your best 11 out, because you never know. Arsenal play Wolves away. Could they drop points? Could we find ourselves top of the league going into the World Cup? That would be a lovely bonus. I've spoke about how going into the World Cup, I want to be at the very least within touching distance of Arsenal, which we will be now, or ahead of them if possible. If we're ahead of them, that's just a bonus. Happy days. It puts pressure on them to get back into flow after the World Cup. So put your best 11 out against Brentford. Beat Brentford, see them off, and see where we are after that game week. But let Alvarez play tomorrow night. I think it's a good opportunity. I don't know what way Chelsea will set up. I don't know, will Potter say, put the kids out, forgo the Carabao Cup. We don't have the depth, the capacity to compete in the Carabao Cup, the Champions League, the Premier League, the FA Cup, because they simply don't. And then focus on their Premier League game this weekend. I don't know who Chelsea are playing in the Premier League this weekend, but it's a huge Newcastle.
Newcastle.
Pretty
sure it's Newcastle.
Yeah, I'll tell you for certain. Keep talking. I'll tell you for certain.
I think it's Newcastle away, but I'm not sure.
It would be, because they just played Liverpool or Arsenal at home. Okay, right. Yes, okay. So Chelsea play Newcastle away this weekend. That is a massive, massive game. Newcastle could beat Chelsea this weekend in St. James's Park. Chelsea can't afford. Potter cannot afford to lose any more games right now. I'm not saying his job is on the line, but the pressure is surmounting. The pressure is building. So does that mean that Potter is going to put out a weakened team against us tomorrow night? I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't be surprised. But then on the flip side, he may look at it as put out the strongest team against City, and on the basis that we might beat City, or on the off chance we do beat City, we build some momentum and we get the players and the fans back on side to some capacity. I don't know. It's an interesting one. I'm gonna let you talk about it in a second, Rebel. Listen, over 70 people in the building right now for the first time tonight. Thank you to all 72 of you I can see right now. Make sure you smash the like button. It helps the channel massively. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're on the road to 5k. Big love as always. I'm seeing a lot of the big six man them in the chat right now. Thank you so much to you for coming over and showing love to our channel. It means the world. Honestly, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, and listen. Rebel, Chelsea tomorrow night. Haaland, I think myself and Joe say don't start him on the basis that we want to see play against Brentford. And then we just discovered live on stream that Chelsea are playing away to Newcastle, who are in absolutely fine form. It's going to be a really interesting game. What do you think?
I think for sure it's going to be an interesting game. I actually saw a really funny comment I was waiting to talk about. Someone said Chelsea can be as far ahead as they want and City will still summon the Haaland brace. And it's fair enough. Like, it's just nothing you can do, I suppose. A lot of it is just an inevitability. But I think Alvarez is shoe-in. I'll be honest with you. He doesn't deserve to be dropped. I know what's ahead of him, but going off his form over his last couple of games looked really impressive. Doesn't deserve, in theory, to be dropped from how good he's played. But he'll play tomorrow. If worse comes to worse, there's something.
Mike Keegan.
I've just been cut over. A bit of breaking news for you. I'm happy I'm the man who gets to do this. People with knowledge of the situation reckon that Jude Bellingham will join Man City per Mike Keegan.
No! If we had a siren, I would play it right now. Read it out again, louder for the people at the back. Read it. Hold on. Shush for a sec. Clear your throat. Clear your breath.
I got it.
Who has reported this? Jude Bellingham news live on stream tonight, people. This has turned into an emergency situation. This is an emergency conversation. Park the Chelsea bullshit for a second, people. Jude Bellingham news has just dropped via...
Can you mute and I'll go for it?
I'm not muting. Go.
Just zip it so this is gonna be great, right?
You better deliver this as best you've ever delivered anything. There's 70 people in the building with their eyes on you right now. Deliver it nice.
Listen, it should be a privilege to get and see this, right? Per Mike Keegan of the Daily Mail, people with the knowledge of the situation reckon that Jude Bellingham, 19-year-old Jude Bellingham, Dortmund captain, will join Manchester City. That is you know what?
Take a sad
song and make it better.
Jude Bellingham, Mike Keegan, man, big Mike Keegan. This guy's reliable, people.
That's a copyright strike.
I don't care. For those of you who know about reliable journalists and sources, Mike Keegan is the real deal, man. Mike Keegan doesn't bullshit. Mike Keegan, Daily Mail, says Jude Bellingham to Manchester City is looking very, very realistic right now. People, scouse tears. Let's get some W's in the chat for Bellingham to Manchester City. The next refreshment, the next installment of Manchester City's success is on the way, people. I've been saying this for weeks. I've been doing streams with Liverpool fans. I've been doing streams with all sorts of fans saying, Bellingham likes Liverpool. He likes this. He likes that. We got a good chance, Klopp and this. And he's going to be the next big thing of Liverpool. He's going to be the revivement of Liverpool. Fuck all that, man. Fuck all that. He's going to come in, play beside De Bruyne, behind Haaland, win the Premier League. We're going to win the whole fucking lot with this kid, man. This is absolutely huge news. I know we were talking about tomorrow night's game, but this is bigger. This is much bigger, people. Mike Keegan, Jude Bellingham to Manchester City is becoming real. It's becoming real. I said it. Everything I said about why Pep would not leave the club applies to why Jude Bellingham would come to the club. The project, the infrastructure, the players, the money, the trophies, the success, the fans, the stadium, the atmosphere. We have
you're on a horn, man.
Man, we have the whole lot. Why would Jude Bellingham come to Manchester City if Pep Guardiola was going to leave? Why would Bellingham be even close to signing for Manchester City if Pep Guardiola was going to leave? This club is moving in the right direction. We're making all the right calls. We're pressing all the right buttons. We're getting in all the right people. We do it right. We do it right. You can give out to us about financial fair play and shit on us for our success. We are doing it right. We are what all the other clubs wish they could be. This is absolutely massive news. You should be hyped, chat. You should be hyped. I can see all the W's for Jude Bellingham. I'm loving every single second of it. That's massive. We're talking about
that
Chelsea.
microphone. Please, Revel, sort yourself.
We're talking about the Chelsea game. We're talking about the Chelsea game, and then live on stream, Jude Bellingham news drops from Mike Keegan. I'm going to go look at it myself. Joe, you talk away about that situation. Listen, 75 in the building. Smash the like button for Jude Bellingham to Manchester City. Smash the likes, people. Subscribe to the channel.
Change the title. Change the title.
Change title, Joe. Change title. Forget the Pep Guardiola. Forget the Chelsea thing. Pep extension. Jude Bellingham is coming. Change the title. And talk about it. I'm going to go look at it myself and see what people are saying.
Yeah, as well, I noticed a little bit of a caveat. We've had two confirmations that Kyle Walker and Calvin Phillips are both fit for the World Cup. So that's Kyle Walker definitely coming back in.
Fuck that.
But on the Bellingham though, I just said I'd pass a bit of streaming news. On the Bellingham though, that's huge. That is the biggest piece of news that we've gotten on this. Like it's Mike Keegan's fan. Who was it? He was one of the four. I know it was after Jack gone. He was one of the first ones to say about the Haaland deal. Like this is reliable. He's obviously got the same sources in Dortmund as he had for Haaland. This is fucking huge. This is huge. Yeah, it does spell, unfortunately, to play devil's advocate. It probably spells the departure of either, if not both, of Gundogan and Bernardo. But you know what? This kid, I don't want to say he's worth it. But fuck me, if anyone in the world is worth it, he is an animal, right? He is an animal. Me and Joe were kind of sitting on the fence about it. No, he is him. You should do John Moran to get him tattooed there. He is him.
I mean,
right.
That news is wild. I mean, it forced me to think on the fucking go and think on the. Do you mind coughing down the microphone, please?
I'm so sorry.
I'm having a moment. Yeah, I whipped up a little. I put the air horn on the soundboard, and now I've got that for future notice. So thanks, Mike Keegan. You caught me at my worst time. I mean, that's wild that's happened on the stream. Is that the first time that something that like of this magnitude has happened midway through us talking about something completely different?
I think there was. Tell you what it was.
Did you just read out the one about the initial conversations? Yeah.
No, I can read it now if you want to have it in front of me.
I have it in front of me. Let me read this one out. Yeah, once again, people, live on stream, as we were talking about that Carabao Cup competition tomorrow night, more Jude Bellingham news. Once again, the same report from Mike.
Do you want the air horn afterwards? Yeah.
Get the air horn. Go, run it. I want to hear it. Yeah, air horn. And play it again after I've read this out, right? Listen up, people. Listen up loud and clear, because I'm going to read this, and I'm only going to read it once. Yeah. Same report that Revel started off with about Jude Bellingham and Mike Keegan. Man City have held initial conversations regarding Jude Bellingham, and those with knowledge of the situation believe the midfielder will move to the Etihad Stadium. Relations between both clubs are very strong post Erling Haaland. This is absolutely huge. Play the air horn. Bellingham. Man, this is absolutely huge news, people. This really is huge news for our football club, because in the midst of the conversation about Pep Guardiola's extension, we were speaking about players and the pulling power, and we did not know this. We obviously couldn't have foreseen Mike Keegan's report. We didn't know this was coming, but it makes so much sense. It just makes so much sense. And the point you made a second ago, Revel, about probably spelling out the departure of at least one of, if not both, Bernardo and Gundo, it makes sense. But why? I couldn't think of anybody better to bring in than Jude Bellingham. He's young, he's tenacious, he's mature, he's a leader, he's got all the footballing ability. We could get him in for literally 10 years. Obviously, he's not going to sign a 10-year contract, but we could get him in for 10, 12 years if we really wanted to, and things keep going the right way. This is that refreshment and that replenishment I'm talking about, building for the future just before the disaster happens, just before Gundogan does get to the point where he's just simply not good enough anymore, because it is coming and it's coming soon. Gundogan is at an age and his physical, capacity is diminishing. Just before he gets to that point, he's still a good player, Gundogan, of course. We bring in Jude Bellingham. This is absolutely huge, people. Joe, I haven't heard your thoughts on it because I cut out for a second. What were you saying?
I mean, I have this. I have it bookmarked. Actually, it was from the Beale Run City report. He came up with this reliability tier list, and Mike Keegan is 90% reliable. So there's your reliability scale. Wow, that is simply incredible. 90% being the same reliability scale as Fabrizio Romano. I had to throw shots in there. Wow. I can't believe it. I can believe it actually, because I mean, you saw all the talk yesterday, didn't you, when Liverpool were, they were up for sale, and as soon as they were put up for sale and all these big money men were involved, it was, Bellingham's going to Liverpool. They're the closest to it. Of course, typical, proper timing, wasn't it? Well, they can go and shove that one now, can't they? Because we've got our own sources now, and these were the reasons that I think we were all kind of getting onto, which was the fact of, we have a great relationship with Dortmund. We've done deals with him in the past, multiple deals. Bellingham's got like half of his mates from Dortmund over here already, put in a good word for him, his England teammates as well. He's going to win things here. He's probably going to be, you'd imagine anyway, with the departure of, again, one, if not both, of Ilkay Gundogan and Bernardo Silva, he'd be probably one of the first names on the team sheet. So, it makes sense for him to come here. We know that he probably has a preference to play in the English Premier League over than the Spanish League, because he's English. He's never played in the Premier League because his hometown Birmingham aren't good enough, or weren't good enough, although they did retire his number, which is absolutely mental. I still can't get over it. But yeah, man, I can't believe it. I can't believe that it's happened this soon. Like, we know it's not going to be done until the summer window, and even then it will probably drag on just a little bit, because there is no release clause in this case. You still have to negotiate a price and a fee and all of the variables in this situation. But with that piece of news there, you can kind of put it past us that, you don't have to look for alternatives. If you do lose one or both of Bernardo Silva or Ilkay Gundogan, you've got your replacement. People think that it's going to happen and that you don't need to keep looking. You can put that one past you and go, listen, we've got our transfer strategy planned already. We've got our transfer strategy planned a good 7-8 months before we're even going to be signing the fella, and just carry on with our season. Get it over. It's another big signing. It will probably, if I'm to guess, break our transfer record. Maybe be slightly under. I don't know how we're going to negotiate this sort of thing, but it could break our transfer record, and we all are in agreement here that if it does, it is 100% worth it.
There's slight word. I'm not going to say what we got from slight word. There could be something moving towards the academy. Like, the academy could be academy players could be make weights in this situation, so it could bring the fee down significantly lower. Because we've seen with Dortmund recently, Jadon Braff's gone there, Jadon Sancho's gone there.
We got another Jadon.
Frimpong.
Have we got another Jadon to give up?
No.
Have we got another Jadon?
Yeah, have we got another Jadon Katongo? There's a Katongo there, isn't there? I'm going off FM here.
Frimpong went to Celtic. Listen, the thing is, I've heard, I'll give you guys, all 75 of you in the building, I'll give you guys something I've heard myself. I won't tell you my source or anything like that, because I don't want to be calling myself in the know or labeling myself as someone.
He's not out of the know. He's not out of the know. We'll say that.
I'm not claiming to be someone in the know. You guys can take anything I say whatever way you want. You can call me a fool. You can call me a liar. But what I've heard is that Dortmund are very, very interested in a number of our academy players, the EDS players. The Carlos Borges's. I don't know if it's him specifically, but those kind of players are top prospects at the underage level. Apparently, they really want at least one or two of them. And the word is that City are willing to give Dortmund one or two of those players in separate deals to Jude Bellingham, just to sweeten them up. It's going to make the deal easier. And it's don't stop, people in the chat. Stop saying Hugh ITK. I'm not ITK. I'm not ITK. I promise you. I wish.
Sauce.
Ketchup.
I'm just telling you the rumors I've heard. The rumors I've heard off the internet, okay? Philip Hughes says, I heard 80 million if paid up front. We're going to get into the fee in a second. I think that's a good conversation to have. But what I was saying was, they want one or two of our academy players. We're willing to give them one of our two academy players to sweeten them up, to make that transfer fee a little bit less. And in Mike Keegan's report, it says there's a strong relationship between both clubs post Erling Haaland. Why wouldn't Mike Keegan throw that in there? Yes, of course, there probably is a good relationship between both clubs, but he threw Haaland's name in there. We've had relationship with Dortmund before Haaland. We had Gundogan, we had Sancho, we had all sorts of things happen with Dortmund before Haaland. Why is Haaland's name thrown in there, people? Because you best fucking believe Erling Haaland is also putting pressure on Bellingham to make this happen. You best believe Haaland, who his best mate when he was at Dortmund was Jude Bellingham from Birmingham. He wants Bellingham to come to Manchester City. City want Bellingham to come to Manchester City. We're all putting pressure on Bellingham. We're like, come on, come down to us, win some trophies with us. This all makes sense. It just seems too perfect. And whenever I've had the argument with other clubs fans who think they're in the race for Bellingham, they're always saying, oh, you know, but he can come to our club and he can be the main man in our midfield. He can revitalize our club. That's all nice. That's all nice and romantic, and that's a nice fantasy for you to draw up, and it's a nice thing to say to Bellingham. You can be the revival though. We will put all the pressure on your 19-year-old shoulders to revive our football club. Yeah, how does that sound? No, he'll come in. He'll look at previous players who have come into us and who have come in as very good players. Your Cancelos, your Gundos, your Bernardos, your De Bruynes, and these kind of players who've come in as very good players and over the years turn into world-class players. I'm not for 1 second saying that we've signed bums and turned them into world-class players. We've always signed very, very good players from where they've come from, and we've turned them into world-class players. Bellingham will look at us right now and say, I can maximize my potential and exceed my potential training and playing alongside the likes of De Bruyne daily, Foden daily. And he's going to go to this England squad now. He's going to go to the World Cup Qatar with England now in 2 weeks' time. And he's going to have Foden, Grealish, Walker, Stones. Who else is there? Is there anybody else in the England squad I missed out on? Calvin Phillips. I know he might not be there, but they'll know each other.
He's there. There in spirit,
he might not go to Qatar. He might not go to Qatar. And they'll all be saying to him in this England camp, listen, mate, Jude, this is an opportunity you can't turn down. Look at all of us. Look at the levels that we've hit at Manchester City. Look at the growth we've had at Manchester City. Don't turn this down. It's a massive opportunity. I just think it's too perfect. I think it's too perfect for Jude. Look at that image.
There he is.
There he is. Up on screen, man. Play the air horn. Play the goddamn air horn. Yeah. Agent Haaland, man. Agent Haaland. He's putting the arm around the shoulder and he's looking at Pep Guardiola with Bellingham and saying, that's your future gaffer, son. This is going to be us next season. You're going to be wearing this shirt. What?
What is this? Why are you saying a picture of him with his arm around?
Look at our stream, man. Look at what Joe's put up on the screen. Joe has put up a picture of Haaland with Bellingham, and this is something I believe we can look forward to. And you know what? Joe was right.
Oh, yeah, honey bugger.
Joe was right when he said that it's not going to be something that we'll know in the next few weeks whether it's done or not, but I believe it'll be similar to the Haaland situation last year where we find out before the season ends. I think we'll find out the Bellingham decision. I think Dortmund have come to terms with the fact that they are going to lose Jude Bellingham next summer. I think they just know that. They know Bellingham will not be with them next season. So now it's just a matter of what Bellingham wants. Obviously, the Haaland thing was there was a release clause there, so he wasn't going to stay. But Bellingham, they just kind of come to the conclusion and they've accepted he's not going to stay. So it's going to be similar. It's the Bellingham decision. What's his decision? Where does he want to go? What club does he choose? Because he's got the pick of all the best clubs in the world as to where he wants to go. So it'll be like that. And I think we will know before the end of the season as to where Jude Bellingham is going. We're going to keep talking about Bellingham now for a little while because this is a big breaking news. I know Revel has places to be, but I'm not giving you permission to leave at this point. This is far
You're stuck here. You're stuck here.
Boys, I'm walking down to the doghouse now, so it's all right.
Rebel's girlfriend is going to eat the head off him, but listen, I say...
No, in fairness, she's not going to eat the head off me, but fuck me, it's 12 o'clock and I have to walk half an hour, so it's going to be great.
It's 12 o'clock, but it's Jude Bellingham season. It's Bellingham season, yeah? Get excited. 80 people in the building right now. Please, if you would, smash the like button. Just smash the like button. It's free to do, and subscribe to the channel if we're new. We're going to be covering all of these stories all the time. We're live every night. So much content for you guys to get involved in. Smash the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Joe, I'm hyped, man. Keep talking to me about Bellingham. Keep giving me your thoughts. What are we saying about this? And let's get into the fee, actually, I reckon, because I think it was Philip Hughes said, if I can find the message, 80 million if paid up front. What does 80 million sound like to you? Now, before you go into that, bear in mind the way City operate. I think Philip Hughes could be right, but there will be a lot of add-ons and things that we don't really hear about.
To me, it screams the exact same situation as when we signed Cancelo and when we signed Ruben Diaz, of which, in reality, it's not 80 million. Like, Ruben Diaz was more than, what you pay for him, 55, 60? Something like that. It was more than that, but because Benfica then went and bought Otamendi, by technicality, it was only sort of 60 million. Same thing with Cancelo. By technicality, we paid, like 30 million for him, but realistically, it was 60. They just bought Danilo off us. I reckon it could be the same thing here. Like, the point was that we're sending some young players to Dortmund, where it could be 80 million, and it could be like a couple of academy players that end up being sold for 10 million each. So, in theory, the fee that we pay to Dortmund is 100 million, but then it gets taken down to 80 because they pay for a couple of academy players. I reckon it would be something like that, where those little sweeteners, where we know the Bundesliga is like a hive for these young up-and-coming prospects to go and make a name for themselves. I mean, Sancho, you look at, Dortmund have taken loads of our players over the years, over recent years at least anyway, so I think that in terms of what it will look like on paper, given once all the business has been done, I reckon 80 to 90 is sort of realistic as a, just straight up what it'll look like. But I do think it'll be like the Cancelo and Ruben Diaz situations, where it looks like 90, but really it wasn't. It was another one of those where you pay more, but they pay for one of your players in return, so it all evens itself out. But again, you're paying the money for the player. He's got his pick of clubs. He can go literally anywhere because everybody wants him. There's no release clause, which is the only thing. Dortmund are kind of tied, really. They I believe, as I was just checking, at the end of this season, he will only have 2 years left on his current contract. And I mean, if he's going to leave, he's not going to sign another, is he? So 2 years left on his contract. They don't have the most bargaining room in the world, but if it turns into a bidding war, then they might be able to shove it up a little bit more. I think that's the key in this deal is, trying to get it done early, because if you wait around a bit and you get clubs like Chelsea with all their money sniffing about, and, if Liverpool have new owners at the time, they'll be willing to spend big. You're going to get it done. Sweeten the deal early on. Give all these incentives and bonuses and sell-ons and whatever Dortmund want, because a bidding war is the worst thing that can happen. Because if the price goes up, then, I mean, like, it's not that we're not going to do it, but if the price goes up, it'll just be annoying, because we imagine that if you lose Bernardo Silva, that'll pay for a big chunk, if not all, of the Bellingham transfer anyway. So I don't think money should be an issue.
Reading a lot of things in the chat, people are talking about the finance situation, forgetting Jude Bellingham, and Zoheeb says Man City can spend around £280 million next summer without FFP interfering. And the beauty of this situation is we don't need an overhaul. We don't need a clear out. We don't need to buy 4 or 5 players at once. We can use this war chest of money we're eligible to spend without FFP interfering on one big signing. Now, I don't think it will actually cost an arm and a leg to get Bellingham. I think it'll cost what he's worth. And at his age, with his potential and the ceiling he has that he could hit, it'll cost, I think you're looking around the 100 million region. Will it break our record? I don't know. But we have the money to spend. We just need that one player in that one position to improve our team, bring in the younger legs, refresh the team a little bit, with the expectation that Gundo or Bernardo or both will leave. We can do it, and you're right, we will want to get it done as soon as possible. And it just goes back to what I was saying. I believe we will know by March, April. And you know what? This is like deja vu, talking about the Haaland situation. Remember we were saying the year leading up to Haaland signing, we were saying we think we'll know by March, April, maybe May at the latest where Haaland is going. And that's what happened. We found out before the season ended that Haaland was coming to Manchester City. I believe this is the Bellingham Bellingham decision, and we will know by March, April. This World Cup period is now crunch for Pep Guardiola contract, and it's crunch for Jude Bellingham to Manchester City. Why? Because City will, you best believe, continue to put the pressure. They'll put the finger on the button and keep asking the questions, keep trying to get this deal done as soon as possible, so there's no issues next summer, there's no auction, there's no, rat race to sign Bellingham. They'll want to get this wrapped up nice and early, the exact same way they did with Erling Haaland. And in terms of crunch time for the World Cup, it just I refer back to the point I made earlier about all of our players in the England camp will be, you best believe, they're humans. They talk to each other. They do say things, and they recommend the club they're at, or they say maybe don't come to the club because it's not that great. I'm so confident that Grealish, Phillips, Stones, Walker, Foden, all these lads will be saying to Bellingham, we could do with you, we'll make you better, and we're probably the most closest guarantee you'll get the trophies right now. Come back to England. He's an English lad. He grew up in England. He knows what the Premier League is about. It's perfect for Jude Bellingham to come to Manchester City, people. Revel, what are you saying?
Yes, I've just covered it so well. Like, there's nowhere else the man's gone in the world. It's going to come down to, in my opinion, it's going to come down to between Chelsea, Liverpool, City. Murray, you said it before. He's not going to want to be the centerpiece to be building around a let's revitalise a club type thing. He's going to want to walk in where he's going to win. If you wanted to be someone's centerpiece where you're trying to build a club around, you stay at Dortmund or something. It's not fucking point. Like, you're not taking a sideways step, you're taking a frontward step. That's where he's going. I firmly in the camp he's going to end up with City. Firmly, especially after tonight. Like, tonight has pushed me over the edge even more so. But again, you have to be reserved in the sense of it. But at the same time, go fucking mad. Just go fucking crazy, because I am very, very confident. I have a bad track record, but I am confident. I don't see why he wouldn't join the best team in the world, best run team in the world, best team in the world, best team in the country. Going to finish with minimum, I'd say, 2 trophies this season, and they're inducing one of the highest potential and best midfielders in the world to it. No brainer, mate.
I think it's exciting times. There's 90 people in the building, only 75 likes. Get the likes up, people. Keep smashing the like button. Keep hitting the subscribe button if you're not done so already. Potter playing Jude wingback, man. That's the thing. You can point that out. Where is Jude Bellingham going to come in and just slot into his natural habitat of a number 8 role? He can obviously play number 6 as well if we need him to play there. He's versatile. He's got the ability. He's got the talent. He can slot into number 8. Imagine a midfield of Rodri, Bellingham, and De Bruyne. Three of the best players in the world in their positions. And then you've got Haaland in front of them, Foden on one of the wings, and the best player in the world, Jack Grealish, beside them.
For fuck's sake.
Fuck off.
Oh, dear. Oh, my God.
It doesn't... We're getting away from the point here. You know what I'm saying? We're building a super team here, a superpower. I think these reports tonight, it's the very beginning of the reality, people. The inevitable. It's the inevitable of Manchester City. The inevitability of this football club. You can't say no when we come knocking. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, if we went in a rat race with Liverpool to sign one of the world's best players, he more than likely picks Liverpool every single time. This club has come so far in the project we've built, the infrastructure we've built, the players, the manager, the unity, the togetherness, everything we've built. It's for the world to see. You only have to look at our club for a few minutes, analyse the way we run, to know that there's no better place to be. The inevitability. We are the inevitables. You can't say no to Manchester City. We have the money, the players, the manager. It's just... the prospects of for individual players coming to us, the prospect of consistent trophies, consistent growth, consistent development, the prospect of playing beside some of the best players in the world, it's just too much to say no to. Why would a 19-year-old want to go to Liverpool and have all that pressure on his shoulders? Liverpool don't have the money. They won't spend the money, regardless of who owns them. I don't care about that conversation right now. If FSG still own them, they won't spend the money on one player when they need to buy 5. Liverpool have so much of an overhaul to do, they can't just throw their full cash, their full wallet at Jude Bellingham and say, you have to revive us now. We've just bought you for 100 million. You have to fix us. You're playing beside Henderson and Milner, and Fabinho playing a 4 out of 10 every week behind you. That's what you got to do. You're gonna do that for us, even though you've turned down the opportunity to play beside Kevin De Bruyne. He's not an idiot, Bellingham. He's not an idiot. He'll slot in seamlessly to our team. The pressure won't be anywhere near the same as it will be on his personal shoulders as it will be at Liverpool. He'll just learn, he'll grow, he'll develop under the best manager in the world, beside the best players. He'll learn his trade further. And the thing we get away from too often with Bellingham is how young he is. He's still got so much learning to do. We talk about him like he's a 28, 29-year-old because when you watch him, the maturity he plays with, you go, wow, he's a real player, isn't he? And then you have to pull yourself back a bit and go, he's only 19. He's only players don't hit their full potential till they're 26, 27, 28, really. Some of them 29 and 30 these days. How good could Jude Bellingham be in 5 years' time, having played with De Bruyne for 3, 4, 5 years, having continued to play with Haaland for another 3, 4, 5 years? And if we sign Bellingham on a lengthy contract, you can forget Haaland leaving. City are so smart. If you get Bellingham in, you increase the chances of keeping Haaland. If you get Bellingham in, Pep will want to stay. If you get Pep to stay, Haaland will stay. If you get Pep to stay, Bellingham will come. We're a smart football club. We're a smart board. We know what we're doing. This is no coincidence. There's no mistakes here. It's all strategic. It's all mapped out. And we're making every right call. Every single right call, people. Letabo says it's scary, isn't it? It's scary, but it's not scary for us. Lap it up, people. Enjoy every second of it, man. I know we're talking about this as if it's a done deal, but I think we have every right to feel like, with the way our club has operated over the past 5 years in terms of recruitment, and then Haaland being the big one, we have every right to feel like we're going to get this player. Those reports tonight suggest to me, with how early it is in the season, Bellingham won't be able to leave Dortmund till the next summer, obviously. With how early it is in the season, it suggests to me City want this player. They're being ruthless. They've identified Bellingham. They want him. There's no mistakes here. There's no coincidences here, people. This is real. Our football club is making all the right moves. We're thinking long-term and short-term. He'll come in and add a straight-away impact, immediate impact, and he'll grow and develop and learn. Our squad will be young. Our squad will be young. You're looking at the leaders of the squad in 5, 6 years' time being Haaland, Foden, Bellingham, and these young players who have all, at their young ages, are setting new standards and achieving new heights that we haven't seen before with young players in the Premier League. It's scary. It's scary. Hugh with the chest out, and rightly so. Enjoy it while it lasts, lads. I'm enjoying every second of it, man. I love this football club. I'm loving the way we're doing things. It's poetry in motion. Rico Lewis, Beyond Belief, says, we've just got everything right now. We've got everything, and people will say you don't have the Champions League. Listen, that will come, and when it comes,
come
it comes
soon,
happy
mate.
days.
Come on, come soon. Hopefully before it changes for the worst.
Champ soon come. He's not going to United. The lad wants a career. If you want a career, your career only lasts so long, people. Football careers are short. You can only play for a certain amount of time. They don't want to waste their time waiting for a team to revive itself and get itself back in shape. Why would Bellingham want to go to Liverpool or United and hang his hat on the potential for United or Liverpool to get good again in the next 3 or 4 years and start challenging again, when he can come straight to City now, straight to City right now, and challenge for trophies and play beside the best players, challenge for the Champions League? Bellingham will be thinking, if City don't win the Champions League this year, me joining that team next year, the chances are even better. He could be one of the first players to win the Champions League at Manchester City. The possibilities are endless. The possibilities are really endless with this football club. And it's even though I know how smart our board is and how efficiently we do everything, I still get excited. I'm like a kid at Christmas when I see these things. It just fills me with immense amounts of pride when I see us making these moves and doing these things. And people will say you're overreacting to a small piece of news. I'm not, because this is not just an individual piece of news that should be taken out of context. This is typical City. This is how we move. We move with ruthlessness. Lads,
I mean,
I'm getting carried away here.
You could say we're overreacting, but the reality is, if this was Liverpool fans, they'd be doing fucking cartwheels and knee slides at the moment, because this is the best thing that would have ever happened this season.
If that report was about Liverpool, I would have 60 DMs right now from Liverpool fans being like, I thought he was going to you. He's chose the bigger club. He's chose the club with more heritage. Fuck all that. He's a smart kid. He knows where he needs to go, and he knows where he'll get better. As you were.
As you were. Yeah, they'd be celebrating like they'd won the league, because if Bellingham was going to Liverpool, if that piece of news broke for them, it'd be the best thing to happen to their club this season, unless, in the eyes of Liverpool fans, Jordan Henderson decided to retire immediately on the spot. Like, I'm sorry, you could say overreacting this, that, but the reality is we are, at the moment, at this current moment in time, it is looking more than likely that we will be signing yet another one of Europe's elite top talents. from under the noses of all our European rivals yet again. We're becoming this club that it's not impossible to say no, but it's incredibly difficult. You know that if you say no, we're not coming back for round 2. Like, we're not going to go and come in for you again. Like, if you say no and reject us, it's like, right, well, that's your decision. You carry on with your career. We are as close to guaranteed trophies as you can get in a competitive league. Of course, you've got your Bayern Munichs and your PSGs who win the league 9 times out of 10, which is guaranteed silverware. But in the Premier League, nothing is guaranteed. We know that. We know that anything can happen in the Premier League, but City are as close as it gets in a top league to guaranteed success. Pep has had 1 trophyless season in his career, and that was the first season in England. His first season. He then went and got 100 points the next season. Like, you know, if you come here, you're getting medals, you're getting recognition, you're getting your names put beside the best of the best in the world, and you're getting a lot of money for it as well. Let's not get this twisted. I know we pride ourselves on a great wage structure, but like, we all saw the reports on Haaland. If he bags a hat-trick, he gets like $1 million. Like, listen, mate, like, we've got everything that everyone else can offer all in one package. It makes sense. It sounds big-headed and entitled, but it's true. We have the money of PSG. We have the success of maybe not on par with Real Madrid in terms of European, but in terms of domestically, we are as good as anyone at winning trophies in our own domestic leagues. Like, we have everything going for us. We have players that he has relationships with. He has friends here. He has people that he knows. Like, he knows half of our squad already just by either playing with them at Dortmund or at England level. So it makes sense. He's playing with the best manager in the business as well. Because, again, if Pep doesn't extend the contract, is Bellingham signing? Probably not. He's probably going to go to a club that has their future planned out. He's not going to start a new process. Him going to Dortmund was a process. Him going to Dortmund was like, I'm going to build my reputation. I'm going to build my name in one of Europe's biggest leagues and hopefully, you know, establish my name so that I can maybe one day go to one of the top clubs in world football. And he's done that. He knows the next step in his career is trophies. He knows the next step is success and winning things. Why would he go to Liverpool, who you don't know whether they're even going to be in the Champions League next season? United, you don't know whether they're going to be in the Champions League next season. Like, why would he go there? I mean, if he's willing to wake up to the Europa League anthem playing on his phone every morning, then fine, he can go and do that. But I'm sorry, why would... If Liverpool don't get top 4, going to Liverpool is a downgrade. I'm sorry. Dortmund, Champions League regulars, always in Europe's elite competition, most seasons in Europe's elite competition. Why would he go down to a team in the Europa League? He wouldn't do that. Like, Liverpool is a big risk. If he commits in January to 6 months down the line, I'm going to go to Liverpool, I'm going to be their centrepiece for a rebuild where they challenge for titles again. Imagine they finish 5th behind Newcastle. They get Europa League. What's he thinking then? Like, he knows that City are going to be in the Champions League. We're going to be off the back of a successful season. Like, we are probably going to win the Premier League. If we haven't won the Champions League, again, the hunger level goes up. The almost desperation goes up to win that competition from all parties involved. You look at the more senior players who don't have the longest time left in their career. They'll want to win it. Pep, he knows that he's not going to stick around forever. He'd quite like to win another one of those, cement his legacy as one of the greatest in the country and one of the greatest ever. So I don't see why not. Like, it's perfect. This is the same things that we were saying about Haaland. It's almost too perfect to the point of where you don't believe it because everything is so perfect that something has to go wrong. But this is another one that proves the whole, it's not going wrong. We're doing everything right. Like, it's dreamland stuff. We never sign these big reputation players that everyone else wants. We've never done that. We've always gone for these like hidden gems and, you know, good players and turned them into world-class players. We've never gone and signed like proper out and out like some of the best.
If anybody had any doubt that Pep Guardiola was going to sign an extension with Manchester City, get rid of your doubt now. I don't believe for a second City would even begin to open negotiations or real negotiations for Jude Bellingham without the guarantee that Pep Guardiola was staying. City would not open up those talks without that knowledge. The first thing they will say to Jude Bellingham and his representatives is, Pep's extended. Pep is staying. I can promise you, Pep is... So if you have any worries, Jude, and your reps about Pep going anywhere, relax, mate. Pep is staying for the foreseeable future. That's point 1 out of the way. The thing is, people, Beyond Belief says it's great being relaxed at how the club is run. It just keeps getting better too. you dream of these things, like you really dream of these things, and you're right that it's great to be relaxed in the knowledge that the club is being run so well, but you still get excited, you still get really happy when you see these things happening, because you know how football can be and you know how it can let you down. And look, I don't know what more I can say about that situation with the club. It's just it's special times right now, and I'll just say, aside from Jude Bellingham, enjoy Haaland, enjoy the trophies, enjoy everything we're seeing, enjoy the football we're looking at. If we get Bellingham, enjoy that too, because I promise you, these things do not last forever. They can last for a long time, but they don't last forever. Enjoy them while they're here. Live in the moment, people. It's a special time. I grew up as a Manchester City fan with my granddad, who was a Manchester City fan for decades over in Manchester, telling me all the stories about how we lost this game away to this team and that game away to that team, and we've signed this player no one's ever heard of, but he's turned out to be half decent. And no one could have ever got excited enough or talked about the prospect of signing the world's best striker and one of the world's best midfielders 2 seasons in a row. It's just things that you can't foresee, and you just have to be grateful. You just have to be grateful. I don't for 1 second say we deserved this or we deserve to be in the position we're in. I feel like we've hit the lottery. We've just hit the lottery with the people in our club, running our club, and who've come in and changed the fortunes of this club. We've just hit the lottery. We're a lucky bunch, and I really advise all of you to enjoy it. We've been live for nearly 2 hours, and with that news that came in, you know, we couldn't not talk about it. That's absolutely colossal. Jude Bellingham to Manchester City. Lizzie says, with Jude, we would have more than half the England starting lineup in our squad. And for some reason, they'd play much better for us than they would for England too. But I think we're going to wrap it up here in a high, people. I think we're going to wrap it up here in a high. There's still 75 of you here in the building with us. If you haven't done so, please make sure you smash the like button. It really does help us massively. We love chatting to all of you. We love getting to know all of you. So subscribe if you're new as well, so we can get to know you more and you can get involved more. Hit the notification bell. This is a big night, people. This is the very beginning of the Jude Bellingham saga, and I think you should all sleep comfortably tonight in the knowledge that we will sign Jude Bellingham. I really believe we will sign Jude Bellingham. I trust this club. I trust the decisions we make. I've gone over it enough for you guys to know how I feel. I really believe we're getting this guy. It's too perfect. It's written in the stars. It's good times, man. Hopefully we get a win tomorrow night against Chelsea. I know we didn't speak too much on that, but for me, it doesn't matter a huge amount right now. That game won't matter to me until I wake up tomorrow morning. Now, I'll be thinking about Bellingham as I go to sleep. So thanks to Mike Keegan for that one. But listen, it's been a great stream. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and we'll see you on Thursday or Friday.
You're not even going to do a score predictions. Are we just going to leave it on Bellingham?
Fuck Chelsea!
My head's gone, man.
Fuck
Play
Chelsea.
the air
Chelsea is shit. Fuck Chelsea.
Play the air one. Play the air one. Right, really quickly, score predictions for Chelsea. Joe.
1-0 C. They're boring.
Rebel.
2-0 City, Julian Alvarez brace.
6-0 City, Jack Grealish to get every single one. Good night and God bless, people. Wrap her up, Joe. We'll see you in a bit.
Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand, 'cause you are the one for me. If you just believe, 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 believe. Heart. Listen to your heart. Tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart. Tell me that you understand.